Hello folks, Wolfen and Jared bringing you another nerd video. Today is the third video of the Druid series of discussion videos. I know I said I'll get the last ones on last night or before, but sadly I could not do it. I just had my D&D session finish and, well, I had to, head to sleep. So, we are back. Previously, in the two previous videos, we talked about their lore, and then we touched up on how to build them, so how I interpret them, and then we have also talked about what a vanilla druid gets. Now, when I say... Oh, there's actually something I did not touch on. Their spell casting ability is Wisdom. Sorry, I did not touch on that at all. Now, today, this last video, hopefully, as long as nothing interrupts me, today should be the last video on the Druids, and we can get moving on with some other stuff. So, and there's also one thing I would like to test out, and so you guys will be with me as I test it out. Now, we're talking about the Druid circles. That's what the archetypes or advanced classes are referred to as for Druids in D&D. Now, bards are called colleges, clerics are called domains, and barbarians are called primal paths. So, here's what it says. Hold on. Though their organization is invisible to most outsiders, Druids are part of a society that spans the land, ignoring political borders. All Druids are normally members of this Druidic society, though some individuals are so isolated that they have never seen any high-ranking members of the society or participate in Druidic gatherings. Druids recognize each other as brothers and sisters. Like creatures of the wilderness, however, Druids sometimes compete with or even prey on each other. At a local scale, Druids are organized into circles that share certain perspectives of nature, balance, and the way of the Druid. So yeah, that's why. That's what the title. That's what the circles are called. So, first is the Circle of Land. Now this brings you more towards a spell casting approach. The Circle of the Land is made up of mystics and sages who safeguard ancient knowledge and rites through a vast oral tradition. These druids meet within sacred circles of trees or standing stones to whisper primal secrets in Druidic. The circle's wisest members preside as chief priests of communities that hold to the old faith and serve as advisors to the rulers of those folk. As a member of this circle, your magic is influenced by the land where you were initiated into the circle's mysterious rites. When you a second level, when you choose this circle, you get a bonus cantrip. You get one additional druid cantrip of your choice. You also have a feature called Natural Recovery. Starting at second level, you can regain some of your magical energy by sitting in meditation and communing with nature. During a short rest, you can choose expended spell slots to recover. The spell slots can have a combined level that is equal to or less than half your druid level, rounded up. And none of these slots can be 6th level or higher. You can't use this feature again until you finish a long rest. For example, when you are a 4th level druid, you can recover up to 2 levels worth of spell slots. You can recover either a 2nd level spell slot or 2 1st level spell slots. Now, as well as this, you also have access to circle spells. Now, these are exclusive spells that may not be from your druid spell list, and I believe they're going to work in a similar way as opposed to like the way the cleric expanded spell list is. I believe that these will always be automatically prepared for you, and they are considered druid spells for all intents and purposes. Let's find out. Your mystical connection to the land infuses you with the ability to cast certain spells. At 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th level, you gain access to circle spells connected to the land where you became a druid. Choose that land: Arctic, coast, desert, forest, grassland, mountain, swamp, and even the Underdark, and consult the associated list of spells. Once you gain access to circle spells, you always have it prepared, and it doesn't count towards the number of spells you can prepare per each day. You gain access to a spell that doesn't appear in the druid spell list. The spell is nonetheless a druid spell for you. So yes, I was completely right. It works very much like a cleric's expanded spell list. Now, we're going to do this in alphabetical order. Now again, this is where your backstory. Now, as I said, in a lot of cases, it's often very important. Now, this is something like this is only happens at 2nd level, or technically 3rd level, but this is something you should plan out. Like I know normally you shouldn't plan out like several levels ahead, but when you're playing certain classes, planning out your character's backstory is very important when it comes to this type of situation. I even had like scenes prepared for Gregor for a situation like this. On Saturday, I did not get a chance to talk to Blue about Ron's circle. I'll probably do that at some point to get a sense, in case he ever comes back. So yeah, plan this. If you're planning on playing a druid, plan this far at least. And if you're multi-classing into druid, talk to your DM. Okay, talk to your DM about what circle they're going to go into. That way he can plan a scene. Okay, so again, keep all this in mind, folks, when you're making your characters, especially a druid. Now, the circles are Arctic. We already discussed what levels you get a new spell: 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th. So I'm not going to be repeating that again. It's the same levels for every type of land. Now, your circle spells for Arctic are as follows: Hold Person and Spike Growth at 3rd, Sleet, Storm, and Slow at 5th, Freedom of Movement, Ice Storm at 7th, Communion with Nature, Cone of Cold at 9th. From the art, as you can see, like it's very intuitive to what you could expect ice magic users to use. Like Hold Person, I would describe these thematically for the sake of the circle. For example, Hold Person, I would like to describe that the person has a little bit of ice covering them. Spike Growth, ice spikes. Sleet, Storm, and Slow, obviously. Freedom of movement, which is an exception, but if you're fighting cold weather or deep snow, being able to move around freely is important. Communing with Nature and Cone of Cold. It all fits, folks. Now let's look at the coast. Mirror Image, Misty Step at 3rd, Water Breathing and Water Walk at 5th, Control Water, Freedom of Movement at 7th, Conjure Elemental and Scrying at 9th. I like this. I like how the coast to me, like as I'm just reading it out, does seem very much like you're manipulating like the moist, like coastal areas can be prone to a lot of fogs and like all the moisture in the air and all that, like, so I'm a big fan of the thematicness of this one as well. Conjure Elemental, that can fit with any element, to be honest, like any location, as long as it has like an abundance of material, especially with druid. Earth and water and air are the most common, but yeah, I still like how it feels, and even the scrying. It makes the scrying bit makes me think back to like Lord of the Rings, where Galadriel uses like the water in the pool to like do a scrying of the future. So like I like the thematicness of the coast spells. Now let's see what the team is with desert. And let's see. We'll assume we'll see if it fits. Blur and Silence at 3rd. Create Food and Water and Protection from Energy at 5th. Blight and Hallucinatory Terrain at 7th. Insect Plague and Wall of Stone at 9th. So yeah, it does get a very deserty feel to it. Silence is the only one that I can say would stand out. Now, I can understand protection from energy because I have seen cases, and it's in my games as well, where in very hot climate or environments, I give creatures who have resistance to fire. I always generally rule they're a little bit more comfortable. Like they're not going to be super bothered by the intensity. And sorry, folks, if I seem distracted. I think some of my dice are missing. Let's see here. Sorry, no, it's just that I like my dice. I like my black and white dice, and black and red. Okay. I am missing one of my reds. A friend of mine must have brought it home with him. Okay, just a quick message. I'll have a proper look for that. No, it's just because I just noticed, like, I put all the dice away I did last night, and I didn't notice it then. But anyway, sorry. Everything else about the desert, so yeah, protection from energy. I can see that coming into use, like, you get someone fire resistance. If your DM's like me, he may rule that the heat is not affecting them as much as the rest of the party. So, yeah, in my opinion, it fits there. Everything else I definitely can see being part of a desert, especially to create food and water. Like it's all about surviving it or the thing. The only thing I do question is silence. I'm not sure how that could fit the theme of a desert, but maybe someone can answer that. Forest now. Bark skin and spider climb at third. Fifth, call lightning and plant growth. Divination and freedom of movement at 7th. Commune with nature and tree stride at 9th. Again, all very thematic. Call lightning, I think that would have fit more with the mountain. But hey, it's interesting. They can't share spells, I suppose. Plant growth, divination, everything else seems very thematic, and I do enjoy that. We're now to the grasslands. Invisibility, pass without trace. Daylight, haste. Divination, freedom of movement. Dream, and insect plague. I'm not too familiar with grasslands, so I can't say for certain. It does seem like because you're in the open area, you have like the druids have mastered spells that will allow them to pass without being noticed, since they don't have a lot of stuff to hide. Daylight, not sure about that. Freedom of movement, tall grass. Dream makes sense. Haste, boosted speed. Again, making use of some open terrain. Not sure. Again, I don't know much about grasslands. Okay, let's look at the mountains now. Spider climb and spike growth at 3rd. Lightning bolt and meld into stone at 5th. Stone shape and stone skill at 7th. Sorry, stone skin at 7th. Pass wall and wall of stone at 9th. Again, very thematic. As I said, when it comes to like the spike growth, I would definitely describe that as like being like a whole bunch of earth, spikes from the earth coming up like. So yeah, very thematic. Let's look at swamp. Darkness, Melf's acid arrow at 3rd. Water walk and stinking cloud at 5th. Freedom of movement and locate creature at 7th. Insect plague and scrying at 9th. I get a very sense of dark energy from this one. Especially straight off the bat, and with the insect plague. Freedom of movement and water walk are obvious reasons, like because swamps do tend to have a lot of water and they tend to be difficult to move around it, and generally they're often treated as difficult terrain. But with this, you can don't have to worry about that. Locate creature, yeah, as well, because of all the like things can hide in the dark of water and whatnot, so makes sense. Scrying, very thematic with witches, Alright, so let's get to the Underdark then. Spider climb and web at third. Gaseous form and stinking cloud at fifth. Greater invisibility and stone shape at seventh. Cloud kill and insect plague at ninth. Very thematic, like especially when you're aware, when you remember that the drow are very prominent creatures within the Underdark. So all these spells makes a lot of sense, and they do make a lot of use out of spiders and whatnot. So spiders are clearly very much at home in the Underdark. So yeah, again, all these are brilliant. They all have thematics. They don't particularly I wouldn't say they split between supports and whatnot. Again, because of the way druids have their spell casting, it's very hard for a druid not to be a support build unless you purposely don't pick those spells. But anyway, let's get on with the rest of the features. Starting at 6th level, moving through non-magical difficult terrain costs you no extra movement. You can also pass through non-magical plants without being slowed by them, and without taking damage from them if they have thorns, spines, or similar hazard. In addition, you have advantage on saving throws against plants that are magically created or manipulated to impede movement, such as those created by the Entangle spell. At 10th level, you get Nature's Ward. You cannot be charmed or frightened by elementals or fae, and you are immune to poison and disease. So that's poison damage completely gone. You can't be poisoned, and you also don't have to worry about disease. Your last feature from being Circle of the Land is Nature's Sanctuary. When you reach level 14, creatures of the natural world sense your connection to nature and become hesitant to attack you. When a beast or plant creature attacks you, the creature must make a wisdom saving throw against your druid spell DC. On a failed, the creature must choose a different target or attack automatically misses. On a successful save, the creature is immune to this effect for 24 hours. The creature is aware of this effect before it makes its attack against you. So yeah, creatures may be hesitant to attack you, or they know when they may be overcome with your the magic of your nature. So your connection to nature. It's hard to describe it. Now we're on to the Circle of the Moon. Now this is one of my favorite druids. Druids of the Circle of the Moon are fierce guardians of the wilds. Their order gathers under the full moon to share news and trade warnings. They haunt the deepest parts of the wilderness, where they might go for weeks or on end before crossing paths with another humanoid creature, let alone another druid. Changeable as the moon, a druid of this circle might prowl as a great cat one night, soar over the treetops as an eagle the next day, and crash through the undergrowth in bear form to drive off a trespassing monster. The wild is in the druid's blood. I like that. Now, this makes significant changes to your wild shape. As you know, it capped at level 2 first CR. Sorry, correction, CR1. So let's see how this makes changes. When at level 2 you get Combat Wild Shape. When you choose this circle, you gain the ability to use Wild Shape on your turn as a bonus action rather than as an action. Additionally, while you're transformed by Wild Shape, you can use a bonus action to expend one spell slot to regain 1d8 hit points per level of the spell slot expended. So yeah, folks, that adds to your tankage. Remember how I talked about like a certain point, like around level 18, you can start casting spells to heal yourself in combat while in Wild Shape. Yeah, this allows you to do that from level 2. Except you have to spend a spell slot and it's only a d8 plus per level. That's still goddamn amazing, folks. You know, it's absolutely amazing. Also, it allows you to straight away like run into combat, jump, transform into a like whatever creature, and then attack straight off. Whereas normally you would have to sacrifice to attacking to transform. Okay, we now have circle forms. This is not a big list as previous, but here's what it means. The rights of your circle grant you the ability to transform into more dangerous animal forms. Starting at second level, you can use your wild shape to transform into a beast with a challenge rating as high as 1. You ignore the max CR column of the beast shapes table, but you must abide by the other limitations there. Starting at 6th level, you can transform into a beast with a challenge rating as high as your druid level, divided by 3 rounded down. So divided by 3 rounded down. So at 6th level, divide that by 3, so that's 2. So at level 6, you can wild shape into a CR2, rounded down. Level A, level A. Divide that by 3. Oh god, see, this is where I'm bad, folks. Bad at levels, folks. Sorry, maths. Okay, so that's still rounded down, so that's still 2. So at level 9, that's when you get to wild up into CR3. By 20, let's see. The max CR for a druid of this level is 6. The max CR. Now let's take a look at. I'm going to quickly give you guys a glimpse of what this could eventually lead into. So let's find out. We said 6. Challenge. Sorry to filter this. There we go. Beasts. There we go. Okay. According to the bestiary, which has all the beasts, I believe, with the exception of those added in through, how should I put it, Tome of Beasts and the like. So, from the Monster Manual, from Volo's Guide, from Tomb of Annihilation, basically through all the official Wizards of the Coast merchandise books, there are 2 beasts that you cannot wild shape into. That is Giant Ape and Tyrannosaurus Rex. But the strongest is a mammoth. Now again, this might change, but I'm just saying, from circle forms alone, you can transform into the third highest CR of a beast. But let's find out if there's an upgrade to that. Okay. At 6th level, you also get Primal Strike as well as that upgrade. Your attacks in beast form count as magical for the purpose of overcoming resistance and immunity to non-magical attacks and damage. That is brilliant. At 10th level, you can expend 2 uses of Wild Shape at the same time to transform into an Air Elemental, Earth Elemental, a Fire Elemental, or a Water Elemental. That is brilliant. That is cool. Now, you get your last upgrade at level 14, 1000 Forms. You have learned to use magic to alter your physical form in more subtle ways. You can cast the Alter Self spell at will. That is amazing, folks. Now, we do have some flavor texts scattered throughout all this, so we're going to go back and read it. Alright? There are 2 boxes, which is interesting because we did not see these generally in the last classes, but let's go into them. This section is called Sacred Plants and Wood. This is from in relation to your spellcasting. Okay? A druid holds certain plants to be sacred, particularly elder, ash, birch, elder, hazel, holly, juniper, mistletoe, oak, rowan, willow, and yew. Druids often use such plants as part of a spellcasting focus, incorporating lengths of oak or yew or sprigs of mistletoe. Similarly, a druid uses such woods to make other objects such as weapons and shields. Yew is associated with death and rebirth, so the weapon handles for scimitars and sickles might be fashioned from it. Ash is associated with life oak with strength. These woods make excellent hafts or whole weapons, such as clubs or quarterstaffs, as well as shields. Elder is associated with air and might be used for thrown weapons such as darts and javelins. Druids from regions that lack plants described here have chosen other plants to take on similar uses. For instance, a druid of the desert region might value the yucca tree and the cactus plant. So there you go. There's some flavor stuff. Like again, this is just flavor and lore that can amplify your role playing as a druid. Okay, now we're going on to druids and the gods. Now remember, this is going back into the fact that druids don't exactly worship gods. They worship generally nature as a whole, but they can worship specific nature-based deities. Some druids venerate the forces of nature themselves, but most druids are devoted to one of the many nature deities worshipped in the multiverse. The list of gods in Appendix B includes many such deities. The worship of these deities is often considered a more ancient tradition than the faith of clerics and urbanized peoples. In fact, in the world of Greyhawk, the druidic faith is called the Old Faith, and it claims many adherents among farmers, foresters, fishers, and others who live closely with nature. This tradition includes the worship of nature as a primal force beyond personification, but also encompasses the worship of Beri and the Orit Mother, as well as devotees to Abadhi, Alanon, and Ula. In the worlds of Greyhawk and the Forgotten Realms, which is where most D&D modules take place in terms of Forgotten Realms, druidic circles are not usually connected to the faith of a single nature deity. Any given circle in the Forgotten Realms, for example, might include druids who revere Sylvanas, Malakay, Eldat, Chanti, or even the harsh gods of fury, Talos, Malar, Ariel, Umberlee. These nature gods are often called the first circle, the first among the druids, and most druids count them all, even the violent ones, as worthy of veneration. So even again, apparently some of these gods could even be considered evil, but druids still consider them, worthy of worship. The druids of Aberon hold animistic beliefs completely unconnected to the sovereign host, the Dark Six, or any of the other religions of the world. They believe that every living thing and every natural phenomenon, sun, moon, wind, fire, and the world itself, has a spirit. Their spells then are a means to communicate with and command these spirits. Different druidic sects, though, hold different philosophies about the proper relationship of these spirits to each other, and the force of civilization. Hold on, folks. So I was just getting mail. Those of you that have dogs are probably very familiar with this. Here we go. Where was I saying? Oh yeah, the force of civilization. The Ashbound, for example, believe that arcane magic is an abomination against nature, and the Children of Winter venerate the forces of death, and the Gatekeepers preserve ancient traditions meant to protect the world from the incursion of aberrations. So yeah, there you go. Druids can have relationships with gods. Hold on, folks. Dogs are... This is why, folks, I normally try and record my videos at best upstairs or when I have the blind closed, but my sister does not like that, so I kept the blind up. So now they're being jumpy at every passerby. So yeah, folks, that is it for druids. An incredible class. They can do pretty much anything within the party: damage, tank, support, heal. Yeah, they are truly epic. Now, some racial recommendations. Now, folks. Now, again, these are just my general recommendations. Do not take them full-heartedly. Okay? Now, the obvious examples for druid characters are elves. I can recommend pretty much nearly any type of elf, but in terms of particular, I would recommend wood elf and dark elf. Dark elf just because Circle of the Land there is another dark one. High elves a little bit because maybe high elf a little bit. I can't say all too sure. But yeah, technically any elf though. Any elf is more than welcome. Even like city elves, I can imagine being very good with druidic powers. Um, Halflings, maybe a little. Halflings do have a love of life that could connect to nature. Humans, yeah, I can picture some humans living out in the wilderness. Dragonborns. It really depends on the backstory and your world setting. In my world, I can't picture a Dragonborn taking up being a druid just because. I can actually see them actually, yeah. Because in my world, many Dragonborn, most Dragonborn live in Draconia, and the land there is very chaotic with elemental energy due to the fact of the sheer amount of dragons that are living there, who actively have lairs that are actually in cities. So some parts of the land is, and again, a dragon's lair does affect the environment. So yeah, I can semi picture it, and they are all about self reliance. Gnomes definitely. I can picture half elves. Yes, orcs. It's gonna be surprising to say this, but yeah, I can't picture a half orc, just mostly because of, especially if they're part of a wandering barbarian group. I can picture a half orc being like the healer or like the shaman of his barbarian tribe. And obviously, they would have apprentices. Tiefling, not so much. I can't picture a tiefling being a druid just because tieflings are more of a urban type of people. You know, that's how I picture them. So, but again, if you want to play a tiefling druid, by all means, go ahead. Again, these are just what I interpret as good recommendations. In terms of mechanics, though, I believe Elf is one of your best options. They have dark vision. They have a wisdom increase, I believe. And if you go Wood Elf, you get that extra bit of dexterity, so that can go into your melee weapons if you get encountered. Then there's also the fact that you have the ability to hide in nature as a Wood Elf. So, yeah. They are my recommendations, folks. Now, next up, now we're going to be leaving, to my knowledge, we're going to be leaving Magic for a while. So yeah, we're going to be forgetting about Magic for a bit, which, to be honest with you, I'm a little happy about. We're now, our next class for discussion is going to be Fighter. Which is very interesting. Again, to me, the Fighter is one of the easiest classes to learn how to play D&D with. They are great as a means of teaching someone how to play. But they do have really cool things. So don't get me wrong. Like I say, they're easiest to play, but do not get that wrong. They are also extremely fun, and they can do really cool things. So yeah, folks, we have now finished our first 3 classes. Let's see. But let's go back to the table and find out how many we have left. So we have Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard. Alright, folks, we have 8 more classes to go through. Now, some of these are going to get extremely long. I may not touch up on Sorcerer too much because I do remember I did do a video for the Sorcerer, and I did that because we had a player who was interested in Sorcerers in the Lunar Guard Adventurers, and they were new to D&D, so I wanted to give them this quick video that could give them some advice. So I might skip over Sorcerer. It depends. I'll be rewatching that video to make sure I do not gloss over anything too big. So yeah, folks, that is it. Now, I'll be back right now. I'm just going to stop this video so that when I upload it, it'll be on YouTube as a separate thing, because this video is going to be separate. So my next video is completely separate from what's going on here.